Very good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Now, Kulbhushan Jadhav's death sentence has been halted for now. That is the top story this evening. The International Court of Justice at The Hague today ordered Pakistan to ensure that the Indian is not executed until a final decision was taken by the court in the case. All the details on that big story and much more in this bulletin in the next 30 minutes, starting with the headlines. Massive victory for India as International Court of Justice orders Pakistan to suspend the execution of Kulbhushan Jadhav. Says India should have been given consular access as per Vienna Convention. Union Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passes away at the age of 60 in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls it a personal loss. Says Dave will always be remembered as a devoted public servant. Defence Minister Arun Jaitley and Army Chief General Bipin Rawat review security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, ask Army to give a fitting reply to any Pakistani aggression in the face of repeated ceasefire violations. And amid numerous controversies over Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election, American Justice Department names a former FBI boss Robert Mueller as a special counsel to oversee the probe. Massive victory for India. The International Court of Justice today told Pakistan to grant India consular access to alleged Indian spy Kulbhushan Jadhav. Now, overruling Pakistan's argument on the former Indian naval officer, the top UN court ordered Pakistan not to execute Jadhav till it delivered the final verdict in the case. Remember, Jadhav was sentenced to death by a Pakistani military court on charges of espionage.
A massive victory for India. The International Court of Justice on Thursday ordered Pakistan to suspend the execution of Kulbhushan Jadhav till it delivered a final decision in the case. Reading out the verdict at The Hague, ICJ President Ronnie Abraham told Pakistan to take all necessary measures to ensure that Jadhav was not executed. It further asked it to keep the court informed about the measures.
Under the present circumstances, it is appropriate for the court to order that Pakistan shall take all measures at its disposal to ensure that Mr. Jadhav is not executed pending the final decision in these proceedings, and shall inform the court of all the measures taken in implementation of the present order.
The court asserted that it had prima facie jurisdiction in the matter as there was a dispute between the parties over the circumstances of Jadhav's arrest.
Any reservations contained in the declarations made by the parties under Article 36, paragraph 2 of the statute cannot impede the court's jurisdiction specially provided for in the optional protocol. Thus, the court need not examine these reservations further.
The 11-judge bench also said that India should have been granted consular access to its citizen as per the Vienna Convention. It also rejected Pakistan's argument that a person convicted of espionage was not entitled to access.
The acts alleged by India are capable of falling within the scope of Article 36, paragraph 1 of the Vienna Convention, which, inter alia, guarantees the right of the sending state to communicate with and have access to its nationals in the custody of the receiving state. In the view of the court, taking into account the legal arguments and evidence presented, it appears that the rights invoked by India in the present case on the basis of Article 36, paragraph 1 of the Vienna Convention are plausible.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj expressed satisfaction at the judgment.
The whole world and the international community, at least of jurists, have reacted in one voice, and that voice is against the stand taken by Pakistan. So the whole world now knows that there was no trial, the entire thing was a charade, and this military trial and a trial in camera was really nothing.
Pakistan's foreign ministry, however, condemned the international court's decision, claiming that it was flawed.
After India stood exposed in state-sponsored terrorism, terror financing, spying and subversive activities, it has desperately tried to divert the world attention by presenting Kulbhushan's case from humanitarian angle.
Jadhav was sentenced to death by a Pakistan military court on charges of espionage last year. India moved the ICJ against the death penalty, alleging violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And hours after the ICJ order, the External Affairs Ministry said that the government will do everything possible to save Jadhav's life. Now, addressing a press conference, MEA spokesperson Gopal Bagle said that the provisional relief provided by the ICJ is the first step in ensuring justice to Jadhav.
हम इसे इस नज़रिए से देखते हैं कि श्री जाधव के जो अधिकार हैं और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कन्वेंशंस का जो वायलेशन और श्री जाधव के अधिकारों का जो वायलेशन, उसका हनन जो पाकिस्तान ने किया, उसको सही करने की दिशा में ये पहला ज़रूरी कदम है.
On to the other top story. Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passed away in the national capital today. He was not keeping well for the last few months. The minister's last rites will be performed on the banks of Narmada River in Hoshangabad district tomorrow. The Madhya Pradesh government has declared a 2-day state mourning as a mark of respect to the departed leader. The Science and Technology Minister Harshvardhan will now hold additional charge of the Environment Ministry.
Union Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passed away in New Delhi on Thursday. 60-year-old Dave complained of uneasiness at his residence in the morning and was rushed to AIIMS, where he was declared dead. A two-time Rajya Sabha MP from Madhya Pradesh and a former pracharak of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Dave was appointed the Environment Minister last year. President Pranab Mukherjee expressed shock at the sudden demise. In his condolence message, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari said, Anil Madhav Dave's departure is a personal loss. Shri Dave was an active and respected member of the Rajya Sabha since 2009, and his presence would be missed by all who worked with him. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also condoled the death of Dave.
Very quiet, very simple, very articulate, and above all, the finest human being. It's a great loss to the government, to the party, to the people of the country, particularly people of Madhya Pradesh.
उनके निधन से हमने एक कुशल संगठक, नदी संरक्षक, पर्यावरणविद और एक ऐसा नेतृत्व जो देश के लिए समर्पित था खोया है. उनका जाना देश की, प्रदेश की अपूर्णीय क्षति है.
मैं उनके निधन पर मुझे दुख भी है, अफसोस भी है, और उनकी उम्र भी कुछ नहीं थी. तो इस आघात को सहने की ताकत उनके परिवार को मिले, इसकी मैं कामना करता हूं.
हम लोग अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करते हैं. निश्चित रूप से भगवान उनकी आत्मा को शांति दे, और जो शोक संतप्त परिवार है और जो ईस्ट में निकट के लोग हैं, उन्हें इस दुख को सहने की शक्ति दे.
काफी सालों से उन्होंने अपने जीवन में सादगी से रहकर सिर्फ देश की सेवा में, समाज को ठीक करने के लिए अपना पूरा जीवन का योगदान दिया.
बहुत ही प्रभावी सांसद थे. कई सेलेक्ट कमेटी में अच्छा काम किया था, और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि नर्मदा के प्रति उनको अगाध प्रेम था, और नर्मदा का संवर्धन हो, इसके लिए उन्होंने स्वयं लंबी यात्रा नर्मदा में की थी.
A keen strategist, Anil Madhav Dave is best known for crafting BJP's political strategy to unseat Congress stalwart Digvijay Singh as Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister in 2003. His phenomenal organizational skills were in ample evidence as the BJP's election chief for MP Assembly elections from 2003 to 2013 and the Lok Sabha elections in 2004, 2009 and 2014. Dave was also an expert in river conservation and made his mark on the Narmada River conservation. He founded the Narmada Samagra NGO that worked on the conservation of Narmada River and its catchment areas through activities and events. As a member of the Upper House, he also served as member of the Parliamentary Forum on Global Warming and Climate Change. Besides keen interest in environmental issues, Dave's other passion was flying. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
On to some other news. The Supreme Court on Thursday reserved its verdict on petitions challenging the constitutional validity of a triple talaq among Muslims. For the last 6 days, the apex court has been hearing submissions from various parties, including the Centre, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and other parties as well. Defending a triple talaq, now the AIMPLB said that it is ready to issue an advisory to all the qazis to ascertain women's view on triple talaq. On Wednesday, the bench had questioned the government as to why it did not legislate the regulation of marriages and divorces among Muslims. The court has kept the issue of polygamy and nikah halala pending for the future. The Supreme Court, remember, is hearing a number of petitions challenging triple talaq, polygamy and nikah halala in the Muslim community. The hearing on the case, remember, began on 11th of May.
I have suggested that this harmonizing effort has to be undertaken, whereas the Personal Law Board has said that the harmonizing effort cannot be done by court and should not be done by court. They've suggested legislation. I have said that if something is part of personal law, then neither legislation nor courts can interfere.
News from Jammu and Kashmir. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Thursday assured the Jammu and Kashmir government of all the possible help in restructuring the goods and services tax rollout for the state while respecting its special status. Jaitley also met Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and discussed various issues pertaining to the state, including funds flow under the Prime Minister's development plan. He also reviewed the security situation along the line of control in the valley at a meeting with the top army officials. Now, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat was also present at the meeting. Jaitley arrived in Srinagar on Wednesday for the 14th GST Council meet that will last for the next 2 days.
Jammu and Kashmir is not a producing state, it is a consuming state. GST is a consumption-based tax. तो जो यहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन के लिए टैक्स नहीं मिलता, जो कंजम्पशन होगी उसके लिए टैक्स मिलेगा और इसलिए जम्मू और कश्मीर के अपना टैक्स रेवेन्यू काफी हद तक बढ़ेगा जीएसटी लागू होने से। हर कंजम्पशन स्टेट का बढ़ेगा और जम्मू कश्मीर भी कंजम्पशन स्टेट है।
We will go in with the GST regime, but because we have a special constitutional position, we will try and make some changes. We draw our powers in J&K to tax from our Section 5 of our Constitution of J&K, whereas all other states draw their powers from Article 246 of the Constitution of India. So some corresponding changes have to be made, and we will try and introduce the GST bill in the coming 30 days in the state legislature.
And what else is happening across the country? Let's find out in Nationwide. Two 145 M777 ultra-light howitzers will arrive in India from the United States on Friday. Now, these are the first inductions of the weapons before the Bofors scandal broke out nearly 30 years ago. Procured for the Indian Army, the howitzers will be deployed along the India-China border. India is buying 145 howitzers from the US at a cost of around $700 million. In the 1995 Ashok Singh murder case, a former RJD MP Prabhunath Singh and 2 others were convicted on a Thursday by a Hazaribagh court in Jharkhand. Ashok Singh, who was the Janata Dal MLA, was killed at his house in Patna. He was a political opponent of former Chief Minister Lalu Prasad's close aide Prabhunath Singh. Now, announcement of punishment will be on 23rd of May. AIADMK General Secretary V.K. Sasikala filed a petition in the Egmore court saying that questions be given to her prior to the hearing by the Enforcement Directorate in the case. The ED objected to the request, leading to the case being adjourned. Madras High Court refused to defer the Nakran's trial in the economic offences. And actress Reema Lagoo died of a cardiac arrest early this morning. She was 59. Her last rites were held in Mumbai. A veteran of the Marathi stage as well as several high-profile Bollywood films, Reema Lagoo is survived by her daughter. Many actors have expressed grief and condoled her untimely departure. In news tonight, we'll take a very short break. We'll be right back with more news. Stay with us.
Hampi, the austere, grandiose site, was the capital of the last great Hindu kingdom of Vijayanagar. Enriched by the cotton and the spice trade, Hampi was one of the most beautiful cities of the medieval world. Its palaces and Dravidian temples were admired by Arab, Portuguese and Italian travelers. Built between 1336 to 1570 AD, the city was pillaged over a period of 6 months before being abandoned and is now one of the most striking ruins of the world.
Engineer's role is to make this world a better place to live. The innovations that are happening in the engineering sector, 70% of the contribution comes from materials innovation. You go in the market and see the products like Sunwash, antibacterial textiles. That is based on RCA technology.
Watch Eureka with Dr. G. Padmanabham, Director, ARCI, Hyderabad, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Spread over an area of 450 square kilometers, the Bandhavgarh National Park is known for its breathtaking array of flora and fauna. Its geographical positioning has gifted a repository of over 250 species of birds and 22 different species of mammals. Though the park is considered as a real home of the Bengal tiger and the white tiger, another star attraction in the national park is a leopard. There are about 40 of these wild cats in the park. Bandhavgarh National Park was a former hunting preserve of the Maharaja of Rewa. The terrain is broken with rocky hill ranges running roughly east-west, interspersed with grassy swamps and forested valleys.
The splendid, grand and massive neo-Buddhist copper dome of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It gets its influence from stupa at Sanchi. The dome is more than twice the height of the rest of the building. The reinforced concrete shell of the outer dome began to be formed during the beginning of 1929. The last stone of the dome was laid on April 6, 1929.
Thanks for staying with us. On to our top international focus now. A former FBI director was appointed as special counsel to oversee the investigation into the alleged Russian interference in the 2016 US election. Now, the appointment of Robert Mueller is aimed at stemming the wave of criticism that Trump faced since he fired FBI Director James Comey last week. Now, Trump has called the appointment as the single greatest witch hunt in the US history, and this comes hours after he said that he was looking forward to a thorough investigation. After a number of controversies regarding Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election, now a special counsel has been appointed to oversee the inquiry. The Justice Department named a former FBI boss, Robert Mueller, as special counsel on Wednesday, saying it was in public interest to have an outsider, one who exercises a degree of independence from the normal chain of command.
He is the subject of an ongoing criminal investigation.
The appointment was widely endorsed by politicians from both sides. President Donald Trump predicted the new investigation would clear him and his team.
I was very, very pleased. First, that he was appointed, and secondly, that it was Bob Mueller, who is a terrific guy, unimpeachable integrity. So I was very pleased to see that.
A good start in the right direction. This administration with the new president has been in crisis from week to week. It's one thing after the other, and I am pleased that that's happened.
To bring in somebody like Robert Mueller that has already worked within the FBI, that it looks like he's going to work within the FBI process. You've got a prime decision maker there working within the process. It's a good hybrid.
Call Calls for a special investigation had been mounting since Trump fired FBI Director James Comey last week. The move had led Democrats to allege that the president was trying to meddle into the FBI probe into potential links between his campaign team and Russia. 72-year-old Mueller served as FBI Director for 12 years under Presidents George Bush and Barack Obama. Having a sterling reputation in Washington, D.C., experts say he is the right man for the job.
He served under both Democratic and Republican administrations, that he's known as being very thorough, searching, detail-oriented, that it's seen that he can lend an independent voice to this investigation, which is exactly what's needed now.
The White House has been engulfed in crisis following Comey's abrupt dismissal and allegations that Trump asked the ousted FBI chief to drop an inquiry into links between his ex-national security advisor and Russia. The recent revelations fueled Democratic claims that Trump had tried to conceal his team's connection with Russia. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Let's get you some more international news now. Here is the global buzz. Pakistan executed 8 terrorists who were convicted under the country's military court system. The executions took place at an unspecified jail in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. According to reports, all the 8 men were active members of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. South Korea's new president, Moon Jae-in, pledged to reopen a probe into a 1980 massacre of a pro-democracy activist in Gwangju. The massacre left more than 165 people dead and over 70 others are missing and established General Chun Hu-duan's grip on the country. Chun was arrested in 1995 after democracy was restored and sentenced to death. He was later pardoned. Iranians campaigned in Tehran ahead of the presidential election on Friday. The withdrawal of other candidates has turned the election into an unexpectedly tight two-horse race between Hassan Rouhani and Ibrahim Raisi. In a rare warning, President Rouhani urged Iran's powerful revolutionary guards and the militia not to meddle in the election. Venezuela deployed 2,600 troops to the western region of Táchira to put an end to looting and rioting among the continuing anti-government protests. Thousands of people have come onto the streets to demand elections, freedom for jailed activists and autonomy for the opposition-led legislature, while UNSC held a closed-door meeting on Wednesday to discuss the deteriorating situation in the country. Time now for the sports beats. Leander Pace and American Scott Lipsky will face the Indian pair of Purav Raja and Divid Sharan in the semi-finals of the Bordeaux Challenger in France. Pace and Lipsky beat a French pair of Laurent Locoli and Maxime Janvier in the straight sets to reach the semi-finals. Monaco beat Saint Etienne 2-0 at home to claim their first League One title in 17 years. Goals from Kylian Mbappe and Valerie Germain lifted them to 92 points, 6 off the PSG. The side was effectively guaranteed the title after a 4-0 win over Lille due to the superior goal difference. The title put them on a joint third in the professional era with Nantes on 8 titles, Saint Etienne with 10 and Olympique de Marseille with 9. Stan Wawrinka beat Benoit Paire in the Italy Open second round. Dominic Thiem beat Pablo Cuevas and Milos Raonic beat Tommy Haas. Third seed Wawrinka won the match 6-3, 1-6, 6-3 and will face American John Isner in the third round. 8th-seeded Thiem defeated Uruguayan Cuevas 7-6, 6-4 and will now face American Sam Querrey in the third round. In another match, a 5th-seed Canadian Raonic beat German Haas 6-4, 6-3 to face Thomas Berdych in the next round. That's it from me and my team in this edition of News Tonight. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Good night.